Hey guys, welcome to the E39 Source channel. I'm going to take a video request that I got probably 2 or 3 months ago now. I apologize it has taken so long to do this. This is not at all specifically on the E39 M5 as it is just a manual transmission vehicle. Somebody asked, can you make your video and with your input on how to drive one? I know there's a lot of videos out on YouTube about how to drive a manual. And it's a lot of fun, and I think everybody should at least be familiar with the concept of how you do it. So I'm going to try to keep it on the shorter side, however it probably won't be. I'm over here in residential neighborhoods during the rain. There will not be people outside and pets and well, people. It's the 27th of December 2011, so Christmas was just a few days ago. Before anyone says, yes, I know my check engine light is on. It has been on for a while and it will be off soon. I've made plans to resolve that. So in this residential area, I'm just going to show you how to hook up some gears and try to explain in a very basic sense. I'm not a transmission specialist, but I know how to drive a manual, and I have been since July 2010, so about a year and a half. Alright, so the next stop sign I'll come to, which I don't actually see, so maybe I'll make a right down one of these cul-de-sacs over here. I'll show you. Pretty much you're going to need to know how to start a car with a manual and how to park one. Those are very important. We'll start with those two things. We'll make a right over here. This car happens to be a 6-speed manual with a manual transmission vehicle. You have 3 pedals down there. You have a clutch all the way on the left, your brakes in the middle, and of course your gas pedal is on the right. The clutch is used to shift gears, essentially. I'm in 3rd gear. You do not want to touch the gear or touch the clutch when you're in whatever gear you're in driving down the road. That's called riding the clutch. You're really going to burn it out and you're going to have some problems. So whenever you're just in a gear, just cruising down the road, put your foot on the dead pedal, usually all the way over to the left, so you don't ever want to touch the clutch while driving. As I'm still in the hunt for a stop sign, we'll stop over here at the next stop sign. I haven't seen one car since I've been in here. And I'll show you how to start and park one, because it is different than an automatic. You just put it in park and walk away from it. So I'll pull up to this stop sign, shift it to neutral. You always know you're in neutral when it is free to move about right and left. Now, with my feet nowhere on the pedals, you can see we're very slowly moving backwards. Well, that isn't good, so you can just pull the parking brake. Most people, when they park a manual transmission car, they leave it in neutral and pull the parking brake. Well, the E39 M5 is notorious for having a weak parking brake, so I always have the engine off, put it in 1st gear, and just leave it. So now it's like almost like putting it in park. It's in gear. You would really have to give this a lot of pressure to actually move the car. If I were to shift to neutral, we'll start moving again. But the safest way is probably 1st gear, or any gear you want really, and the parking brake. So now if you want to start it, you can leave the brake on or off. I never really use the brake. Just put your foot on the brake down there, clutch in. I usually put it in neutral to start it. Come over here and turn the key. There we go. Before you let the clutch out, I always make sure that I'm not in gear, because if you're in 1st gear or anything and you let the clutch out, you're going to go flying forwards. Even if you're on the brake, not real hard, you are going to move forwards quite a bit. So now we're on in neutral. If we want to start moving, clutch goes in. Whenever we engage a new gear, first is over to the left and up. I got a car behind me, so I'm going to move out of the way. But whenever we engage a new gear, the clutch goes in. As you can see, since we're not in an automatic, it is going to rev itself sick before you shift gears down in the 2nd at 25 miles an hour. This guy is flying up behind me, so I'm going to stop for a second. Alright, so now we're stopped again, not at a stoplight yet, that's out there, a stop sign yet, but that's out there. So I'll kind of go over that again. When you're ready to go, clutch in, 1st gear. Now if you just let the clutch out now, the biggest thing that was hard for me to learn with stick is you can move it an inch or two and you're not going to feel anything. Now this is going to vary a lot from car to car, but if you just let the clutch out and you don't touch the gas, you're going to notice the RPMs dip. It's almost going to stall. I haven't touched the gas at all, so that's just idle RPM moving the car right now at, well, I mean, breakneck speed here. I'm not touching the gas a bit. So when hooking up a new gear, you're going to want to give it a little bit of gas, and this is going to be the relationship between your feet. give it a little bit of gas. There's 1,000 revs. I'm letting the clutch out. The further I let it out, I press the gas in a little more. Now the foot is completely off the clutch and we're just working with gas now. You come up to a stop sign. If you just hit the brake, it's going to stall. So you push your clutch in too. The clutch is what engages gears to the transmission, thus the engine and moving your car. So we'll make a left here, clutch in, first gear, a little bit of gas, let the clutch out. You can feel the weight of the car being pulled by the engine. There's 2,500 RPM or so, clutch in, foot is off the gas. I selected second gear, and now it's like the same thing with hooking up first. A little bit of gas, let the clutch out slowly. Every single stick shift car you drive is going to be different. How much gas and how much clutch you need to get the reaction you want. Some cars have a real tight clutch, some are sticky. It's totally going to depend on the car, how many miles are on it, how it's been driven, and how it's been maintained. So we'll do this again, clutch in, first gear, a little bit of gas as the clutch comes out. As you feel the weight, a little bit more gas. Now we're completely off the clutch. Accelerate, clutch in, second gear. When you shift gears, if you keep your foot on the gas, it's just going to rev up. So you'll be able to figure it out after maybe an hour of driving around in a neighborhood or something like that. It's just a relationship that I can't explain. You're going to have to get in a car and drive it for a little bit to master it. For me, it took about a month. I drove this maybe at only 2 hours a week. So that's 8 hours. I think I would consider that I mastered it. When you get used to it, I mean, this car has a really short first gear. It's an M5. So I can actually start in second, clutch in. Now you're going to want to let the clutch out even slower and give it a little bit more gas, and we're already completely off the clutch there. Then I can shift from second to fourth. And you'll be able to see, based on your car, how many RPMs is healthy for what speed. This one, on the M5, I can keep it anywhere between, I like to keep it around 1,200 to 1,500 when driving around town. 60 miles an hour in sixth gear on the highway is about 2,000. I wish there were a more aggressive overdrive for better gas mileage, but I'm not complaining, as I get about 30 city, or 30 highway, 20 city, which is very good for a car like this. We can also use the transmission to slow down the car without using the brakes. As I approach another stop sign, I'm in fourth gear. If I push the clutch in, I'm not touching the gas, drop to second gear, and then slowly let the clutch out, you can actually use the transmission to slow the car down. And another light, clutch in, first gear, a little bit of gas, let the clutch out, foot is off the clutch, clutch in, off gas, second gear, clutch out. That may sound really complicated, but you'll really just get used to it. Your shift points are going to totally vary by the car. So we'll go clutch in, down to fourth gear. Now if I were to shift into sixth gear at 28 miles an hour, I'm only at 700 RPM. Down at that kind of RPMs, one, it's not healthy for the engine. Two, you really have no torque. So I usually stick it in fourth gear when driving around in residential speeds like this. Pulling out on the main road here, this is always nervous the first time you do it. You're always nervous, you feel like you're going to stall it and make a fool of yourself, but really you'll get used to it. I'm letting the engine rev more because I'm filming right now. Usually I shift around 2,000 RPM. Here's fifth gear, and you don't have to shift in order. You don't need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 1 through 5. Sometimes I'll start in first. If I let the revs go high enough, I can shift into third, and even there, sometimes to sixth if I let the revs build up. But again, all of this is completely dependent on your car and the style of driving you have and where you're driving the vehicle. So I'm in fifth gear, heading through an intersection here. Speed limit is 35, we're doing 37. 1,500 RPM, I can shift into sixth here. So I will push the clutch in, the same time I take my foot off the gas, pull down to sixth gear, a little bit of gas, and let the clutch out slowly. Again, it's the relationship that you're going to have to figure out, and every car is different. Now, if we were on a highway or something and you're trying to get on in sixth gear, I do not recommend that. So you can go here from sixth, clutch in, you're going to need to give it more gas, and I just dropped to third. Notice the RPMs went higher, we're in a lower gear. Then from here, obviously, there's a lot more torque to accelerate. We can get up to 40 there pretty quickly. Clutch in, off gas, down to sixth gear, a little bit of gas, and clutch out. You're going to have to learn how to do that pretty quickly, and you'll really feel the relationship as you learn how to do it over time. Heading down the same road here, I'm going to go jump on the highway for just one exit. I'll be in the same town. I don't want to go too far. The weather sucks. Highway driving is just a little bit different. Usually you're trying to pick up speed a little bit quicker to get up to 60 or 70 miles an hour, depending on the kind of road you're going to be getting on. So you're going to let your gears go out a little bit further. Instead of shifting at 2,000, I may shift at 3, but that's totally going to depend on the car. If you're driving a smart car, you're going to need about 74,000 RPM to get up to 60 miles an hour. If you're driving a car like this with a 5-liter V8 with that kind of compression and just the size of the engine, you really don't need to take the RPMs too high to be able to pick up that speed. Approaching the entrance to, this would be, I guess I'm getting on 480 East here in Ohio. Coming up to a stop sign, I can put the clutch in, down to second gear at 30 miles an hour. Just let the clutch out. I just took all that speed off without using any brakes at all. RPMs get low, push the clutch in so you don't stall. Lights green, I selected first gear. The mistake a lot of people make is giving too much gas when hooking up a gear. And again, that's just going to take time and practice. I mean, I certainly made my fair share of mistakes. You give it too much gas, you let the clutch out too quickly, back tires are spinning. That happens. We got a red light here. But there is the entrance to the freeway. When sitting in a stoplight, I usually keep it in neutral with my foot on the brake. Some people prefer to keep it clutch in first gear with your foot on the brake. To me, that's just probably not good for the clutch or the transmission or something. I've just read that you're just better to keep it neutral with your foot on the brake a little bit. But keep in mind, if your foot is off the brake, you're not going to be moving forward like you would with an automatic transmission car. You're just going to roll however the road is graded. If you're perfectly flat, you probably will sit still, but it's dangerous if you get rear-ended, you'll be pushed right into an intersection. So I recommend brakes and neutral for sitting at lights, intersections, and traffic, wherever you're just going to be parked for a second. Alright, we've got a lights green, so we're in first gear. I am going to need to use this hand to shift in second. But with second gear, there's 3,000, clutch in, off gas, selected third gear. Then we let the clutch back out as we slowly give it some gas. There's fourth gear at 50. I went from 4th to 6th, 72 miles per hour. Looks like we're clear. Always check your mirrors, ladies and gentlemen. 72 miles an hour in 6th gear is about 2,400 RPM. Speed limit on this road is 65. So just cruising around here at 66 miles an hour or so. Right foot's on the gas. Of course, we could use cruise control if we wanted to. Left foot is on the dummy pedal. Again, you never want to ride your clutch, especially at higher RPMs and higher speeds. If for some reason we had the urge to accelerate, well, in this car I don't really need to downshift. I'm still in 6th gear. A couple seconds to get to 75, but if I desired to slow down, we'll do the 65 to 75 again, I could downshift. Third gear, and I'm going to need a lot more gas because that went up to about 4,000 RPM. So 60 to 70. It's right there, and then I just push the clutch straight in. Now we're back to 6th gear at 70 miles per hour. Never make the mistake of selecting a gear too low for this speed. If you're going 70 miles an hour, you put it in first gear, no matter how much gas you give it, it's just going to do a lot of damage to the engine, transmission. You're going to spin tires, probably lose control, and end up over there. Alright, we've got a Honda Civic over here. Looks like he's going to fly by. So if we want to downshift to 4th gear again, it looks like he's going to try to pass me. Shift lanes left. And he's gone. 80 miles per hour in the M5 is about 2,700 RPM. It's funny, the speed limit out here is 65 and you're going 80 and you're still being passed by people. Getting off the freeway is probably something you should be familiar with. Usually you're going to need to slow down quite a bit. For me, you're at about 67 to probably 0 because there's a light down here at which I'll be making a left onto. So we'll switch lanes, of course, over here into that lane. Then you can use your transmission to slow you down. I'm in 60. I could go down to 3rd gear. I think I'm going to select 4th. I'm not touching the gas. We'll just let the clutch out slowly. We're down to 50. Now we can shift down to 3rd. Not touching the gas or brake. Let the clutch out slowly. There's 40. We can shift down into 2nd now at about 35. There we are. I haven't touched the brake once. Some people have told me never to do this. It's not good for the clutch. Of course, it's going to wear more. And then my father and other people have told me to do it exclusively to save wear on brakes. But I guess that's going to be up to you. So now I just shifted to neutral, did the rest of my stopping with the brakes, and I'll wait here at the light with the brakes on until the light changes. Guess we'll take the same road back into town. It's about 5 miles from here, I think, or maybe even a little bit less, but as we come up to the car, you know the drill. Clutch in, neutral, use your brakes to stop. Right, we've got a green light. Getting onto the expressway here, I'm going to do some different shifting. Instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'll probably just do 1, 3, 6. But of course, any combination you like and any combination that you see fit for the kind of way that you're driving and your speeds, you can definitely do with a manual transmission. Alright, so here's first gear. First gear is very short on this car. 20 is already 4,000 RPM. Third gear, brought it down to 2. Third gear, 50 miles an hour. 4,000 RPM at 60. Merge lanes left. Sixth gear, that was a very slow shift. Sixth gear at 75. So that was 1, 3, and 6. RPMs were pretty high. You're using more gas at that at those revs, so I don't always recommend it. But yeah, you don't have to go in order. All right, 55. Just getting off the freeway here on the way home. This time I'll just dip it into neutral and use the brakes. I talk about this so much because the last video I made a long time ago on the channel, a lot of people seem to be confused about how to downshift. Yes, you're going to be better off if you're planning on accelerating after downshifting to match the RPMs where the engine would be in that gear that you're trying to shift into, instead of just letting the clutch out. What I mean by that is if you're going 50 miles an hour in fourth gear and you want to shift down to third gear, then you're going to need to match the RPMs that you would be in third gear at 50 miles an hour, which would be several hundred more than you would be at 50 miles an hour, if that makes sense, or in fourth gear at 50 miles per hour. So that previous example that I just did wasn't very good because the light at the end of the ramp was green, so I think I just kept it in gear and made a right on my way home. Alright guys, well, I am almost home. I hope that it was supposed to be a short video, but I guarantee it's not anymore. I hope that helped you with the idea of how to drive stick shift. You know, your clutch is just connecting gears to the transmission and to the engine and thus moving your car. As I come to turn into a residential neighborhood, I'll just shift into third, not even touching the gas, and slowly let the clutch out. But the biggest thing is going to be to start motion, to start moving. You'll just have to figure it out in an actual manual car. There's going to be a relationship between your two feet. You'll feel the weight of the car and how much gas versus how much clutch you need to give the car to get the results that you desire. One of the last things I'm going to talk about here is going up a hill. I don't exactly have a hill, so I'm using my driveway here as the hill. The problem is, though, with an automatic transmission, your car is always in gear or you're on the brakes. There's only two pedals, gas and brake, of course. With a manual, when you take your foot off the brake to move over to the gas and you press the clutch in to select a gear, there I'm in first gear now, you're going to start rolling backwards when you're on a hill. Well, you need to master how much you can let the clutch out and immediately give it gas like that to get moving, so you don't roll back and hit a car or something behind you. It's a little scary at first, I'm not gonna lie. It is actually very scary at first, but you'll really get the relationship, and you'll be able to figure out how to get moving quickly. On the brake right now, so I'm on the brake, right foot is on the brake, left foot has the clutch on the floor. We're in first gear, so I'm going to go off the brake as quickly as I can, over to the gas. I'm doing this in like slow-mo now. Over to the gas, and then you let the clutch out, but you'll just have to do that all pretty quickly in order to be safe. So thanks for watching, hope this helped. Parking, again, I'll just leave my foot on the floor. We're in first gear, clutch is on the floor, turn it off. Now I can leave it out, just leave it in first gear. That's the best way to park. Again, thanks for watching, hope this helped. I'll talk to you in a future video. Bye-bye.